Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins, along with my brother Brent, we've got the UFO sightings just in. Buckle up, take a look at this.
Going anywhere.
We've muted the audio in portions due to some copyrighted music behind it.
The thing's not going anywhere.
But you're hearing in the background the driver. It's not going anywhere. It's just hovering in the sky. We're going to get a closer look at it just a bit, but I wanted to share with you the raw video right now.
The thing's not moving. What is that? What is that thing?
All right, let's roll this once again. I'm going to enhance this, get a little closer, see if we could identify this object in the sky. And right now, we have no explanation of what we're looking at. A high-speed chase of something otherworldly or conventional. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to enhance the clearest portion of the video right now and pull up a still from this video. Brent, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, this one's pretty interesting. It's hard to tell what it is. Even with this clarity right here, we still can't make out if this is conventional or what's keeping this thing up in the sky. Again, it caught this person's interest. It definitely has a metallic sheen to it. This is a curious video. Again, we don't know what this is. Could it just be a conventional drone? Hard telling. We just don't know exactly enough about this video to prove one way or another, but I'm finding this one still curious.
Absolutely. For a second, I could have thought it could have been an airplane or, like you say, a drone, but again, it's hard to tell. Obviously something very strange, but whoa, did you see that? New video just in. Listen.
I caught an object that flew through my backyard. It seemed like a piece of light with some weird trail behind it. I'm not too sure what it is.
What is going on? A security cam captured something extraordinary in the sky.
I thought it was a shooting star initially, and then I looked closer, and it started digging and dagging on its trajectory. So,
Interesting testimony from the eyewitness. A lot of these door cams, ring cams are capturing the phenomenon. And right now, what Ramos captured is very bizarre. I've never seen anything quite like this. The phenomenon is very active because we have these security cameras all over the place and it's captured all the time. But in regards to this kind of shape and form, I'm still scratching my head on exactly what are we looking at here, Brent.
Yeah, here's a good close-up as we slow it down. I like the way we saw it in the beginning. It kind of had this kind of a erratic motion, and you can see it right there. Again, we're looking at this close-up. What is it? Could it be maybe distortion within the card itself, the sensory card, creating this kind of artifact in around whatever craft, or maybe a bug? It's hard telling. We just don't know what this is. Again, it's unidentified. The person thought this was interesting enough, and it's been making the news. So right now, this is a good one. Again, look at that. You can see this kind of dark mass, and it has kind of like a plasma shielding around whatever this is. What's creating this?
I'm not exactly sure. Look at the dark matter inside of it and some little white specks of white coming out of it. Again, I've never seen anything like this. That's why we're sharing it with you. More footage just in. Watch this. So the videos are coming in on a constant basis. We're sharing this with you. We looked at it very closely. All the videos we're sharing tonight are there's no manipulation, no CGI, legit videos. The question is, what is it? And at the moment, I'm trying to speculate that this could be some kind of bucket suspended by maybe a helicopter or a drone, and it's kind of out of the shot, and this could be purposely done by the cameraman to create some kind of illusion that something's hanging in the sky. Whatever it is, it's there, and after some enhancements, I'm not seeing any kind of tether or anything holding this thing up, and this pullback shot gives a pretty big shot where you're not seeing anything holding this. So whatever it is, the conventional means of propulsion are not seen here, Brent.
Yeah, I kind of like your first theory that you brought up there. Definitely, maybe the quality's so low, we're not seeing the line that's holding this up. You know, it could be a fishing line. We just don't know. But again, it looks like it's suspended up in the air on that pullback shot. That's why we're posting it. But I'm still pretty much on the fence on this. We got something else coming up that we're going to find pretty interesting here.
They do exist or they don't exist. They keep telling us they don't exist, but they block every opportunity for us to get a hold of the information to prove that they do exist. And we're going to get to the bottom of it, dadgummit.
I'd love to see whatever facts and information we have, and it's good. I'm very supportive of letting the American public see whatever we have.
concerned are some of these guys in regards to this private corporation possibly having this power?
Well, this comes up in every meeting I've had since the 90s, is that when people begin to look into this, whether you're an admiral or a general, what's going to happen is that once you realize that there's an organization that have technologies that can do circles around the B-2 stealth, then they immediately feel outgunned. And they are. Technologically, they absolutely are outgunned. So the question then becomes, you have to have a different strategy, because you're not going to resolve this problem in a conventional confrontational way. You're going to have to do things where you disclose the information, you get the people on your side, you use the rule of law. So the end game is that, unless there's enough pressure put on these guys that they capitulate and they come clean. And we'll see. I mean, it's hard to know how that will all play out. On the other hand, they may hit the button for a false flag or some other event. This is what you don't know when you're dealing with people who are sociopaths and crazy people who have that much power. I call it the Dr. Strangelove syndrome, you know, where they just get crazy.
Washington, D.C. may remain divided by partisan animosity on most things, but some things apparently still rise above politics. And considering the national security implications, the House of Representatives voted unanimously to create a secure government system for reporting UFOs.
People around the president, you know, may say, look, this is an inevitable situation, so, you know, we want to be on the right side of this and begin to cooperate openly. But, you know, that remains to be seen. I think that they're also intimidated by the power behind some of these beyond black projects, that it's a frightening proposition. And unfortunately, that's a real problem because, as I mentioned, intimidation is a big issue.
At least there's been some official sort of channel being created here for these pilots, and we're witnessing all sorts of things to be able to come forward and discuss these things without harming their own careers. Obviously a major issue.
One of my roles is to try to say, look, just stay the course. This is an intimidation. It's more of a mind trick. But a lot of these folks, they're going to be intimidated and then they're going to fall silent. I know that's happened to a number of presidents, and and the ones where it hasn't happened, they were given just enough information to make them develop policies that run to the favor of these covert programs. I think that's what happened with Reagan, with SDI. Star Wars is quite likely, I believe, that's what happened with Trump and Pence with the Space Force and some other things. So, you know, because remember, if you're the fox guarding the hen house, you can walk into the Oval Office and present all kinds of frightening looking stuff that would be convincing to someone who's come into the Oval Office as a peanut farmer like Carter, or a real estate developer like Trump, or whatever you know, fill in the blank. So they're very vulnerable. This is one of the big problems with this kind of secrecy. If there's corruption in the system, which there is, then the president and his inner circle that he appoints and brings in are very vulnerable to either the information being partial or false or completely withheld. And fixing that is a major investigation that's going to require like I said, subpoena power and the willing to go the distance once people are identified and places are identified, and say, look, this is, you know, you are now going to be compelled to disclose this information. Now, even if that happens, then the question becomes, whether it's out of Capitol Hill or the White House, how much of that will make it out to the United States public? Yeah, I think one of the really big problems the public doesn't understand about this, and I've been dealing with this since '93, that we meet with a lot of these officials who are not read in to these projects, and they find out it's true. They're traumatized. I mean, it's traumatic. I think for the public, it's like, oh, a conspiracy theory, it's entertaining, it's something to Google, it's something to, you know, troll the internet. But if you're actually on Capitol Hill or the White House or the Pentagon or CIA in a responsible position, and you find out that there's an entire universe, a whole secret government program that's massive, that you don't know about and you're not overseeing, even though you are required to oversee it, it's a shock. It's traumatic, and I've been very compassionate about that in working with folks since the 90s. And more recently, these guys who, I mean, they're, you know, they've been special forces and they've done all kinds of things all over the world, and they are genuinely traumatized by it, because it's a sort of a mind-blowing situation. And for that reason, we know that when you start talking about the leaders who are elected, the constitutionally appointed and elected leaders, they're going to have to be brought up to speed in a graduated way. Now, it could be a year, but it isn't going to be in one meeting. You know, it might be in 20 briefings or something. And so what I recommended is that a set of briefing modules be put together that go over the whole course of the history of this, but then all of the facilities and the operations, but then also all the technologies, starting with the basic ones, how those things fly, to the more esoteric ones. Compartmented operations underneath the Pentagon, Technology Management Office, for example. Some of the folks that I've been dealing with who literally oversee all the agencies and all that and black budget funding, they literally, when I mention these facilities, they've never heard of them. They don't know where they are. So I think that, you know, when you're talking about most of Washington, they're just now beginning to ask any questions. But, so it's not like there's any great efforts. Now, when someone begins to make these inquiries, then they have surveillance, they have Black Hawk helicopters over their house and all that kind of stuff. But that's just recently begun. Over the years, though, whether it's a president or anyone else who pushes too far into this, I recently found out that a congressman I had briefed way back, named Congressman Christopher Cox of Orange County, when I put the facilities list together for him that listed all the contractors and all this, he had two guys approach him and threaten him with death and his family with death if he were to talk about this any further or make any more inquiries. And he was on the Science and Technology Committee of the House of Representatives. So that kind of stuff does happen. Unfortunately, he didn't notify me of this, so it happened and then he backed off. And I think that's one of the real problems. I mean, there is lethal force threatened. There's all kinds of intimidation. I've had people break into my home. I've had people break into my condo here and just move things around to let them know we can get in here anytime we want. And I think for a lot of people who are elected officials and they start running into this, they don't realize what kind of buzzsaw is out there, how serious these guys have been about keeping this secret. So, a couple of days ago, I was on an encrypted messaging system with a top secret guy who was wanting to come forward. And in real time, he was sending me video of Blackhawks that were circling his house out in the middle of nowhere, way out in the upper Midwest. So that really does happen. But, most of those enforcement issues, you're not going to see it at the Situation Room in the White House or a skiff up on Capitol Hill.
Eagle has landed.
Tonight, NASA accepting a mission that so far has proven harder than landing a man on the moon.
What's your thoughts like now NASA's getting into the game of UFO hunting?
The release from NASA was that they were going to allocate $100,000 to look into this. Let me explain how $100,000 will get you 2 paper clips, maybe. So again, I don't think anything serious is going to be done by NASA. My understanding is they're doing things to check off a box, but there is an investigation that we can talk about that is very effective and that's working, and that is really getting to the bottom of it. It is not at NASA. If you're seeing it in the media or on Politico or on the internet, those are all things that they're just wanting to check boxes so that members of Congress feel like they're doing something. It's like when I grew up in the South, they'd say, look busy, Jesus is coming. There was this whole mindset of you just do busy work. So the Pentagon office, this NASA initiative, I would like to be proven wrong, and certainly if those guys invited me in to get actionable intelligence, detailed information, I'd absolutely do it, but we'll see. I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day. It's possible that they'll actually do something, but they're not going to do anything with $100,000, which is why in their release it said they were going to allocate.
Is NASA being straight with us?
I don't.
Apparently, they're getting into UFO hunt right now too. They say
they are. The American public turns it up. Not on the Tim Burchets of the world. I'm already there. I know we got to do something. We better find out. I think we need to find out.
So with this evidence coming in from NASA, for the years of Third Phase of Moon, we've been keeping a close eye on them. They're one of the most biggest archives of the UFO phenomenon that exists right now. We could tell NASA, go back to this date, go back to this ISS footage, and let's start there. And again, we have hundreds of videos from NASA themselves that they refuse to explain to the public what they're capturing. How can we change the narrative of NASA to be a little bit more of a straight answer instead of never a straight answer?